What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another market update, this time for ungraded, loose, complete action figures. We've got die-cast, we've got baggies, and we're going to finish the video off with playsets and vehicles that are 100% complete. Again, I'm assuming that all of these items are not reproduction, and I'm assuming that the listings were for 100% complete items, but sometimes it's good to get data on this stuff because not everybody collects graded. I get that. And I think that for those of you that don't, or if you identify stuff and you're going to send it in later for grading, it's just nice to see what stuff sells for. And as you can see, lots of really nice, crispy, clean figures, although that Luke Jedi looks like he's a little tatty on the robe there, but the die-cast TIE Bomber, we all know how expensive that is, but pretty good deal on some of these items. So let's go ahead and dig right in. We're going to start with the die-cast, and the first one is a die-cast X-Wing. This is one I still want to get, and this one was by no means perfect. It had a lot of wear to it. I've seen these sell for as high as $65 for near mint plus condition ones. I was bidding on one probably about a month and a half ago, and I lost last second. Just someone outbid me, but that one ended up going for about $65, and it was probably 80 or 80 plus condition. This one is by no means very clean, though. It's got quite a bit of wear to it, but I wanted to show you on the low end of the scale for this die-cast X-Wing, you can still find one for as little as $30. But if you want one super clean without much scratching and things like that, you're probably close to double that price. $60 to $70 is what they go for. Next up was a die-cast land speeder. This is another one I'd like to pick up. The big thing to keep in mind with this one is the canopy. This one has yellow just slightly. Very tough to find that one really clear. Those canopies do tend to yellow over time or brown over time. And also the chrome on that die-cast can get a lot of wear. This one was actually in pretty clean condition. I would wager this one would probably grade out at about an 80 if you were, talking about loose grading a die-cast. But, really nice example overall. Usually there's a lot more wear to it or the canopy's missing completely. This one sold in an auction for $61.88. I saw another one that was in similar condition but with a clear canopy that sold for about $80. So that gives you a nice tight price range if you're looking for these die-cast loose. The big one is this one, the die-cast TIE Bomber. This one is 100% complete. A little bit of yellowing to it, as is common with this die-cast bomber. That fuselage piece that's plastic on the right-hand side, and then the wings do tend to yellow. This one was not in bad shape, though. It had some paint chipping and things like that, but probably overall a 75 grade, which, that's pretty good shape, and not nearly as yellowed as some of the other examples we've seen. We saw one that sold for, I can't remember the number now, but it's like $1,200 or $1,300, something crazy loose. And then obviously we saw one that sold for big money at Hakes here recently that was a reseal. But this one was, again, in about 75 grade condition. It was listed for $650. The best offer that was accepted was $575, which is actually, that's the lowest price I've seen for kind of a 75 grade one in a long time. Another one sold that was in slightly better shape that sold for $810. And there was also one that was in similar condition to this that sold for $620. So that gives you a couple of data points for the die-cast TIE Bomber. Let's dig into some baggies. And this is a fairly common baggie. This is a Return of the Jedi baggie with the B-Wing pilot. And, this is a heat-sealed, kind of soft material baggie. There is a really good resource for baggies on the web that kind of goes through all the different categories, and it shows you which one's which. And if I remember, I'll put that in the video description for this video so you can take a look at it. It's a very good resource that I use a lot just to kind of double-check to make sure that's not a fake baggie. Really, really good resource. So I'll put a link to that. But this is one of the more common baggies that's out there, not very expensive. This one sold for $72 plus $5 shipping. And then this seller had a number of really nice baggies. This one has no markings on it, but that is actually an Empire Strikes Back baggie for Greedo. And it looked to be, correct and not fake by any means. But again, it's tough to tell sometimes with these baggies. But this seller had a number of other baggies that were for sale. Usually that signifies that it's legit. It's not some kind of reproduction fake baggie. But there is an Empire Strikes baggie that has no markings whatsoever on that. And you can check that out in the link on the video description. But this one sold for $78 and change. He also had this one. This was a very desirable ESB. I think this is a D baggie. Another heat-sealed baggie with Luke Skywalker. The big problem with this one is that the legs on this one have started to brown pretty significantly, and that does happen with these Lukes even inside the baggies. So that one sold for $160 though, so very desirable to get that one. Any Luke Hoth baggie is pretty expensive, but $160 took that home because this is probably at best a 75 grade baggie. Even though the ink on the baggie was in great shape, because the figure discoloration, this is probably a 75 grade baggie. Next up was a very desirable Stormtrooper baggie. Again, an Empire Strikes Back baggie. Usually with a Stormtrooper, they're SWA through D baggies. Maybe not A. I think it's B and D baggies are the most common for the Stormtrooper baggies. But this was a later Empire Strikes Back baggie. Again, a heat-sealed soft baggie. That one sold for $152.50. This is probably about an 80 grade. Again, just some slight discoloration to the legs on that one and one of the arms. The next up was a Bush baggie. This is a Taiwan baggie, and this is actually one of the less common Bush baggies. This is a made in Taiwan baggie. The more common one is an ROTJ, and I think it's an H baggie. Don't quote me on that. It's got a lot more writing on it. This is the ROTJ-A baggie, so I haven't seen this one for sale in a long time. It only sold for $86, but I think that's a pretty good deal for a Taiwan Bush baggie, and definitely the less common of the two. I've got the more common Taiwan baggie for Bush, but that one's a really nice one. Staying on the Princess Leia theme, we've got some loose figures that were 100% complete with no repro. This one was the Leia with combat poncho. That one sold for $120, free shipping. Next up was the Cloud Car palette, advertised as C9 complete. One thing that, again, I've talked about in past videos is that there are a lot of reproduction blasters, as well as more commonly a reproduction communicator for the Cloud Car palette. But look how clean this figure was. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. Probably 85 condition, easily. But assuming that those two accessories were legit and not reproduction, which I tend to think that these were not reproduction, just given the close-ups that he offered as part of this sale, I tend to think that this was a really good buy. This one sold for $80 plus $6 shipping. Graded, high-grade Cloud Car palettes can go for $200 plus really easily. So I think this is a really nice example of the Cloud Car palette. Next up was a TIE Fighter palette, C9 plus condition. And again, look at those emblems, super clean. Usually there's a lot of rub on the shoulder emblems as well as on the helmet emblem. This one sold for $60. And this one was, I think, the Hong Kong. No, this was the no COO variant for the TIE Fighter palette. Very tough to find this one. This is one of the ones I'm lacking. I've got the China, the Lily Letty, the Hong Kong, and the Spanish PvP, but I do not have the no COO. So this one would have been a good one to pick up and send off to grading with Collector Archive services. But a really nice example of the no COO TIE Fighter palette. Tough to find this one. $60 plus $6 shipping took that one home. Next up is that Tatty Luke Jedi Knight. Again, the robe on this one had quite a bit of wear to it, some fraying around the hood. But this was a Taiwan, advertised as complete with the Palace Blaster and the green lightsaber. You can see that it had quite a bit of wear to the hand as well as on the face, which are two common defects for the Luke Jedi. This one sold for $135, free shipping. This one was in slightly better shape, not nearly as much wear on the hand or on the face. And again, it was also a Taiwan Luke Jedi. That one sold for $160. So a couple data points there. I tend to want to pay a little bit more to get one with less wear. I think this one would probably go down as an overpay relative to some of the ones I've seen recently. $125 to $150 should get you kind of a C8, C7.5 condition Luke Jedi Knight. But that was a better one there. That's just probably like an 80 grade condition at best. But $160 took that one home. And let's dig into some loose, complete vehicles and playsets. And the first one is the Y-Wing fighter. Most commonly on the Y-Wing fighter are those front cannons that you see on the right-hand side. Those tend to snap off. And it was advertised as complete, but I do not see the bomb on this one. So, you know, I think that this one was actually incomplete. So you got to make sure to really read the descriptions and check out the photos for this, because again, it's advertised as 100% complete, but it was not. It was missing that bottom bomb that often is broken in half. So otherwise, it was very clean. That one sold for $160 plus $12 shipping, but this is not a complete one. So you really got to double check to make sure that all the parts are there. This one was advertised as 100% complete Millennium Falcon. And the most common thing missing from this one is the Jedi ball, the training ball, as you can see there on the right-hand side. So that one had that one, assuming that's not repro. That one sold for $400. So, you know, again, this one was a really clean one, and you're going to be paying up a little bit more for a really clean Millennium Falcon, especially if it's complete with that training ball. That training ball alone, I've seen sell for 70 or 80 bucks pretty easily. So to get one complete with that ball for $400, that's about the going rate, I guess. Next up was an X-Wing fighter. I had a couple of those that sold. This one sold for $140, and it was in pretty clean condition. The big thing on the X-Wing fighter, obviously, is yellowing, so you got to really check that out. So that one sold for $140 plus $13 shipping. This one was in much cleaner condition, not nearly as yellowed, and that one sold for $170 plus $16 shipping. So $140 to $180 or so after shipping gives you a tight range for a loose, complete, early X-Wing fighter. Next up, this was an incredible item. This was a unused contents AT-AT or AT-AT, and the sticker sheet was not used. It included the catalog, all the inserts for the box, the instruction manual, truly a kind of time capsule piece. The box was certainly not mint by any means, but this would qualify for qualified grading, probably be like a 70, just given the damage to the box. But pretty cool to see that one. And of course, that sold for a big price. It sold for $761 free shipping. So again, if that box had been cleaner, I think it would have easily gone over $1,000. But you know, at best, this is probably a 60 or 70 grade qualified box for the AT-AT with unused contents. But pretty cool to see that one sell in an auction. And then what's unique about this one is it had the coin offer, as you can see there on the right-hand side. So that's kind of interesting. You don't see that very often. And then finally, we got Darth Vader's Star Destroyer. This was advertised as complete with the box. It didn't have any of the inserts. It did include 3 loose figures. That one sold for $224.99 plus $30 shipping. So I love the artwork on this one. It's got, you know, the Death Squad commander hanging from the top of the playset. Darth Vader kind of swinging his lightsaber around like a madman. You got some stormtroopers there, and then you also had Bosk IG-88 and Boba Fett wondering what the heck Darth Vader is doing hanging the Death Squad commander upside down. But pretty cool looking display piece there. That's all I really had for this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and thanks so much. I'll be back soon.